Our group project is on increasing physical activity. The members were Adriana Rivera, Ashley Raniero, Evan Brown, Jensen Pendry, Megan Werner, and Michelle Dupree Anderson. For a long time, step counting has been used as a method to measure distance. For this reason, usage of activity trackers has increased since 2010 and have been proven to help individuals increase their daily steps by about 2,500 steps on average. The purpose of this study is to replicate the experiment that was conducted by Matthew P. Normand in increasing physical activity through self-monitoring, goal setting, and feedback. Normand believed that with age came weight gain, which he believed might be due to a decrease in physical activity. Normand conducted the study in order to see if there was a positive correlation between self-monitoring, goal setting, and receiving feedback from a designated peer and an increase in physical activity. There were a total of 6 adults that participated in this study. All adults were healthy, non-obese adults who exercised regularly or semi-regularly. Activity trackers, either a Fitbit or cell phone application, were used to track daily step counts for this study because researchers have suggested their use in lifestyle physical activity interventions. A permanent product recording system was used in order to track each participant's daily steps. A single subject, multiple baseline, reversal design was used for this study to compare results across participants.
For the method, I'll be explaining participants, setting, and materials. So for our replication study, there was a total of 6 participants. Ashley was a 24-year-old female, Adriana, a 26-year-old female, Evan, a 24-year-old male, Jensen, a 23-year-old female, Megan, a 23-year-old female, and Michelle, a 33-year-old female. All of the participants were healthy, non-obese adults who exercised regularly or semi-regularly. The setting where the study mostly took place, all participants completed this project throughout their daily activities, including work and home. The only material we really used for this project was an accelerometer. This was either a Fitbit, a pedometer, or an activity tracker app on the cell phone.
Like Adriana previously stated, the purpose of the study was to test the effect of the goal setting, self-monitoring of our steps, and feedback with our established partners that can have on healthy adults to increase their daily activity levels while implementing this intervention to increase the daily steps of our activity. To test the effect of using an activity tracker to count the step totals is to increase the daily levels, whether it's weekly or daily. Like Adrienne purposely stated, that we use it whether it's a cell phone application or like a Fitbit, a smartwatch, etc. So you may ask, so why did we choose this to replicate this project? It's cost effective. There's not that many materials that need to be used. It's also socially significant to the participants. A lot of us were already active. Some participants need to be more active. So this was an overall good effect for our group. The original study demonstrated the efficiency.
As for our operational definition, a movement made by lifting one's foot and putting it down in a different place while simultaneously moving one's arm as required to register on an activity tracking device. For our baseline phases, data was collected on the number of steps taken daily over a 1-week time period, which is 7 days. Participants were required to cover their activity trackers with masking tape and sign their name across it to ensure that the masking tape was not removed throughout the baseline phases. During intervention phases, data was collected on the number of steps taken daily over a 1-week time period, which is 7 days. All participants were required to set a daily goal for total number of steps based on the prior week's average of steps. To increase their goal, participants had to meet their daily goal on at least 4 occasions during that week. Participants reported their daily total number of steps to their partner each day via email, and participants were provided with feedback by their established partner. Each participant met with their partner face-to-face once per week, where they were provided with verbal feedback on the direction of their data points. Reliability checks for participant-reported step totals were conducted each week by their established partner. The partner checked over each of the daily totals for the week and compared the totals with participant self-reports for the previous week. For our IOA data, on each day steps were measured, innards over agreement was calculated. Agreement scores were calculated by dividing the number of agreements by the number of disagreements, plus agreements, and multiplying by 100 to yield a percentage. The mean IOA for our group was 100%. For treatment fidelity, reliability measures were conducted for the daily self-monitoring and daily email feedback components of the intervention. This was calculated by dividing the number of days on which each participant does not report a daily step total during intervention by the total number of intervention days and multiplying by 100 to yield a percentage. The treatment fidelity percentages for each group member included Adriana 86%, Megan 100%, Jensen 80%, Evan 100%, Ashley 90%, and Michelle 80%. One of the group members in group 2 started with group 1.
For the experimental design for this project, a single subject, multiple baseline reversal design was used for this study. Multiple baselines were collected across participants. Participants throughout this group were divided into 2 groups with data collected individually for each participant. Group 1 began intervention 1 week prior to Group 2, and each group returned to the baseline and then back to the intervention phase over the course of the study. Each participant utilized their respective data to determine when to return to the second baseline and intervention phases. Like Jensen pointed out, there was one person in Group 2 that started with Group 1.
During the baseline procedure, we masked the tracking device and provided no formal feedback. Met weekly with the partner to record daily steps total for the week. There were 2 groups, Group 1 and Group 2. With steady baseline results, Group 1 moved to intervention, Group 2 stayed at baseline. Display a multiple baseline graph design. When steady interventions results were reached from Group 1, Group 2 moved into intervention phase.
The procedure of goal setting, self-monitoring, and feedback. So for goal setting, goals were only set during intervention phases, not during baseline phases. The average number of steps per day from the prior week was calculated, and then this was used as the goal for that week for steps. The goal was calculated as long as the previous goal was met on 4 occasions. If it was not met, then the goal of steps was not increased. For self-monitoring, the step tracking device was worn unmasked so that the participant could see their steps. It was also reported daily to their partner via email. And then for feedback, written feedback via email was given daily to each participant, and verbal feedback was given during face-to-face meetings that were conducted once a week. Procedure of the social validity survey. This was given to all participants at the conclusion of the study. There was 4 statements, and each of those statements had a 0 to 4 rating scale. This was to assess whether or not the self-monitoring, feedback, and weekly meetings helped to increase each participant's physical activity level. It was also used to gauge overall satisfaction of the study. An example statement from the survey was, "I believe that meeting with my partner and receiving written statements of encouragement helped to increase my physical activity level."
Michelle, turn on your mic.
Okay. As we look at results of this study, unfortunately, only 3 of the participants showed progress with use of the intervention, and 2 of those showed very slight progress, with only 1 individual showing any significant progress according to the visual analysis. The first participant listed on the graph was the individual who started the intervention with group 1, although he was in group 2. And so we did see there's a shorter period for that individual. He did show an initial increase with use of the intervention, but then did not continue to show progress or with use of the intervention. For Adriana, visual analysis of the graph didn't demonstrate any significant impact on her steps. For Megan, again, did not show any significant impact on her steps. And for Michelle, although when the graph is scaled as it is on the multiple baseline, it doesn't show any progress. The actual averages, once the graph was rescaled, did show some increase at the intervention stages. For Ashley, although it wasn't significant, the average step count did increase slightly during the intervention and then return to a lower step count during the baseline phases. And for Jensen, she did see an increase at both intervention phases and then a decrease at baseline too. And we actually took the data and looked at the individuals who showed slight progress to see if the graphs were rescaled, if we would see any more of a significant increase. And when we look at Michelle's graph, she did actually show an increase at intervention 1, a return to baseline, and then didn't really show a strong increase in intervention 2. If we look at Ashley's graph, when we changed the ratio, she did show a slight increase in intervention 1 and intervention 2. And for Jensen, she showed a pretty good increase in intervention 1 and intervention 2 with a decrease at baseline. And one thing that we wanted to point out was, although our procedure required that we try to get a stable baseline, we noted that despite attempting to establish that pattern, time restraints kept us from fully establishing a stable baseline for most of the participants. So given additional time, we may have seen slightly greater results with this.
So the results of the social validity survey, if a 3 or a 4 was answered for all of the social validity questions, this was Jensen, Ashley, Megan, and Evan. So this determined that the intervention helped to increase daily physical activity level, and that the self-monitoring, receiving feedback were useful parts of the intervention. The participants that answered either a 2 or 3 for all social validity questions were Adriana and Michelle. And this meant that the intervention was partially helpful, but did not create much of an increase in physical activity. And also receiving verbal and written feedback did not help to increase their daily physical activity to a great extent.
Now into the discussion. The goal setting, self-monitoring, and feedback intervention increased the number of steps recorded each day for some participants, but not for all. About 33% of participants, which is 2 out of 6 of us, experienced an increase in the number of average daily steps in comparison to their baseline averages while in their intervention phases. As past researchers have noted, the majority of participants not seeing an increase in daily steps does not necessarily mean that the experiment was unsuccessful, but does show that we as individuals have daily lives that cannot be altered in order to have success within the experiment. There were several considerations that could be contributed to lack of success to some participants.
Throughout the intervention, there were several limitations which could have skewed the data. The first being the use of a cell phone app to track the daily step count. If you were to set your phone down or forget it at home, then there will be a decrease in total steps. If you had scheduled travel days or unplanned sick days, again, there would be a major decrease in steps. If the participants of the study were already highly active participated, it would be much more difficult for them to increase their steps because they already have a high count of steps. No precautions taken to verify that participants did not remove the tape or self-monitoring during the baseline phases. The person who was conducting reliability measures was assigned a partner within the group of participants of the study. Using a person that you know to could alter the reliability measures in the terms of the accuracy. Limitations of utilizing online graduate students, given the likelihood of working while in school and having a family, could all cause limitations. These next few slides are just our reference pages and the contribution log of what everybody worked on during the assignment. Thanks for watching our presentation. Hope you enjoyed it.